Okay, Neve, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I think I always say this, but I think it's really helpful to have people who have gone through the whole process kind of sit down with us at some point and kind of go through what it's like to have gone through it, like, and seen the other side. So I do appreciate you taking the time. So best place to start really for everyone else's kind of context is before you joined the program, where were you in terms of yours and Jasper's goals and your finances and your kind of mindset around money, and what made you really want to take the leap to join in the first place?
So I would say that I had this kind of overwhelming feeling that I needed to do something, but I didn't know what it was that I needed to do. I've always been like quite good at saving, and I'm a bit of a squirrel, so I like to have contingencies, and I've got little pots all over the place for rainy days. But I think I was just becoming aware that actually they weren't really doing anything apart from sitting there and making me feel good when I looked at them, they weren't accumulating anything. And I knew that I guess my age range and the way that we've been brought up, my generation, was kind of like, buy a house, that'll be your security, and it just didn't feel like that was actually a thing anymore. We're definitely late to the party on pensions, and really only started when the government said you've got to do it to businesses, and Nest was introduced. So I just knew that I had a bit of a doom feeling of like, I'm never going to be able to retire. I'm never going to be able to, I couldn't see how I could do it, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I love the point you made about the pensions, because it's one of those things that the government in their infinite wisdom just told businesses, right, you have to introduce pensions. And then we're all sat there like, what's a pension? What do I do with this thing? And they don't ever teach us any of that. And it's just mad that we're all kind of given these things and expected to, well, maybe we're not expected, but expected to do the right thing with it or set it up properly, but we're never actually educated about how to do that. So and that's what creates some of, at least, that feeling of like, I should be doing something, but what on earth should I be doing?
Totally.
So
clueless.
I totally understand where you're coming from. Just for some additional context, when you join, we get everyone to kind of tell us their goals and their expectations of where they thought they'd be at, before joining the program and things. So you mentioned that you wanted to just optimize the monthly finances. Like, say, you had a lot of pots and a lot of money kind of like squirreled away in different places, which is great. It's a great foundation, but it was kind of about optimizing that, making sure each thing was given a job to do, wasn't it? Having a small amount of debt to clear. It wasn't much, it wasn't anything kind of significant, but it was just kind of getting that gone so we could have our foundation set properly and secure an emergency fund as well. And then when we asked you when you'd expect you'd be able to retire, you said maybe in my 70s, but to be honest, it just feels impossible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a feeling a lot of people share, to be honest, so you're not alone there.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of friends that I speak to, they're just kind of blissfully like, well, I don't have a pension and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to deal with it when it comes along. And that just puts the fear of God in me.
Yeah, I know. For some people, they can live kind of quite contently that way. I think it's always in the back of their mind, though. It's always occupying some of their thoughts, especially when they do speak to people like someone like yourself who's going through a process like this, or they come across some content online and they suddenly start thinking, oh, I really should be doing something. So it's quite nice once you've gone through this to just have all of that noise quietened and to know that you've got a decent plan in place, and that compared to having nothing, it's just a world away. So where are you now? Jumping ahead a bit there, but where are you now with those goals, having completed the process?
So we have a roadmap, we have a plan, and we're just doing it. We are literally just doing it because we can see that it works. Like, we've got all the tools in place now to track ourselves and to be accountable to the goals that we have. So we're just plowing on. And I think, that within the course, there's a lot of, you touch on, like end of life and when you're gone and stuff like that, which also can feel quite scary. But, it's triggered us to put those things in place as well. We've written our wills, we're doing our power of attorney this week, we're putting together after we're dead folder and stuff like that, which is things that you, like you say, you just don't want to think about. But actually, I feel like just getting it all done and having it all in one place, along with this roadmap, actually, I feel like when the final pieces come together, I'm just going to be able to get on with life. Do you know what I mean?
spot on. It's literally exactly how I feel about it. Just get it done once. It's conversations sometimes that people don't want to have because they're uncomfortable. Sometimes they're a little bit depressing, but it's just something you have to talk about once. And once it's done and sorted, you've got so much peace of mind, so much weight off your shoulders. And you hear stories of people who maybe didn't have like power of attorney set up, and then they've had to go through an absolute mess of like just financial stress for like a whole family for a period of like 2 years just to get things sorted. And if they had just had power of attorney, all avoided. And then suddenly people hear those stories and they think, oh, I don't know how to do this. So it's a really nice thing to be able to kind of like be, instructing people like, this is something you really need to do. Here's why. And then they just get on with it. So yeah, I totally agree. Just getting it done is just the way forward ultimately. So congrats.
Yeah, it was an additional part of the course that I think we just didn't expect either, so it was very helpful. Basically.
No, I'm glad to hear it. So yeah, so just to summarize then, so we've now got a money management system in place. We've kind of got everything set up, all optimized. You know where the money is coming from, you know where it's going to each month. Money's got a job to do and it's all kind of set. We freed up, I think it was about, compared to your 3-month look back average, we freed up about £500 a month, which is, nothing to stick your nose up at. It's a very nice amount of money. And then you've got designated emergency fund now, which is earning a decent amount of interest. We've only got the amount that you actually need for that kind of set aside working for you, and everything else we kind of freed up to work elsewhere. So that's great for like the long-term goal. And on that point, we've now got a detailed kind of thorough investment plan and strategy that has you set to be able to retire actually comfortably at 60 and 61, I believe it is. So far, with room for improvement as well. So that's like 10 years earlier than you expected and 7 years before state retirement age. And just for context, you started this process when you and Jasper were like 47?
46.
Right? 46 and 40, yeah. So pretty good going. And it's all just laid out on a roadmap for you. So
and I think we're even more determined now, we've got the budgeting tool, which we use, but we're still trying to find ways each month to just, squirrel a little bit more away. And when we do our finances at the end of the month, where we look back and just check, where we were against that budget, quite often I'm like, well, I've got another £100 here. So we just push that over into, we've got like an investment pot. So then we can put the money that's left over from that month into that pot and then decide where that's going after that. And it's quite a nice little challenge, like, what extra can we get?
Honestly, it's so good because I have the same like experience. Like when I started doing this, you kind of gamify the process, because once you've kind of got like a decent plan in place and you're like, all right, here's where I can get to. That's amazing. Yeah. But if I do this and this, and this month I got this much more, and if I put that away, then I can recalculate and I can bring it forward a bit maybe, and all this kind of stuff. And so many people say this. I think pretty much every person I've interviewed, without even having to be prompted, has suggested that they've managed to kind of like gamify the process in a roundabout way. Kind of that's the kind of name I give to it anyway. Of like, you make it a challenge, like you said in your own words, right? To how can we do even better than what Joe said we can do? And that's exactly the kind of, because it's only going to make you ultimately have more financial freedom. It's going to make you wealthier. It's going to give you more options, and that's what this is all about at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. So now you've achieved those things then, and you have like a decent plan in place for unlocking all of that future wealth potential. How do you, like, aside from actually like the numbers, how do you actually feel now?
Relieved.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's how I feel. I feel relieved because, like I said, I just had this kind of low level constant in the back of my head that was like, you should be doing something, come on. And I was getting really frustrated with myself, and when we found you on Instagram, like, we were like, are we mental? Like, this is a guy off Instagram. Are we really going to do this and join this course? Like, it just, because I'm also very cautious in my approach to things, especially around money, I was like, are we idiots here? Like, are we just going to get conned? It's a real thing. And I think I had that battle in my brain where I was just like, just do it, just do something. You've got to do something. And that was what kind of pushed me, to take the leap. And I'm so pleased that I did, because we didn't get conned.
Yeah, gladly.
We know you're real.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's something that had, like, obviously is an understandable concerned because, and this is the thing, like so many businesses these days are just online, and people's kind of like understanding of that is shifting. They're becoming a bit more kind of like, oh, okay, you know, so long as I've done my research, I can see that the, you know, the website's secure. They've got a business set up. They've verified.
We saw you on Companies House.
Exactly. So this is what I was going to ask, actually. It was just to help anyone else who might be interested in doing this but has the same concerns. And there are a lot of people, and like I said, it's a totally understandable thing.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you did to kind of reassure you, to help you take the leap at all? Like anything you like research you did, anything I kind of provided or anything like that?
Well, we Googled you, obviously, and had a look at you, and then saw you on Companies House, you know, had a look at you on through Gov, basically, and had a look at Companies House and could see that you were a legitimate business, a real person, not a bot or some AI Joe.
Yeah, you know? Right. Yeah, I get that as well.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of helped us. And obviously we had the call, I can't remember the guy's name that we had the call with, but we had an intro call to the course and got some, you know, feedback and information on it, and it wasn't pushy. That's what I would say. It wasn't like, you know, well, if you don't sign up by midnight, you're not going to get it, kind of thing. It was very much like, if you need more information, let us know. You know, we're here for questions and stuff like that. And I think that also made us feel more comfortable. And then I think once we saw that you were a legit real person, then it was like, just do it. Because I said to Jasper, you know what, we're going to talk about this for 6 months, and then we're 6 months further down the line, and 6 months we still haven't done anything.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Honestly, it's so
and
true.
And time just trickles by, and another year is gone. And
before you know it, another year's gone by, and then you're like, oh, well, is it even worth getting started now? And then you talk yourself out of not doing it more the more you leave it. Exactly. It's hard. It's one of those things. It's a really hard balance to strike for us of like weighing up not being pushy with also understanding that if they don't do it, like it's not going to get any easier for them. So it's like, you really should do it, but there's no pressure, but there kind of is. So I'm glad we managed to get it right.
That is difficult. Yeah. Because you want to help people, right?
Exactly. Especially when we go, like I said, when we work with people like yourselves and we get through and we see the results at the end of it, we're like, this is incredible. And this is why we do these interviews, so that people can hear from, because obviously I'm always going to say it's amazing because it's changed my life, and it's the whole reason I'm teaching other people to do it. But it's all good and well, like the head of, like the face of the business saying, yes, it's going to work for you. But hearing from people like yourselves is, I think, even, you know, is probably more powerful.
I would just say, get on with it.
I agree. And what people really want to know is obviously like how, with regards to the results that you've gotten, how did you do it?
Well, we just did the step-by-step course, basically. We just followed it, and it was definitely overwhelming at times because it's a lot of information. And, you know, I don't come from a fiscal world. I'm not, you know, financial. Like, I can do maths. I did fail my GCSEs, but, you know, I passed it the second time. I use maths in my job every single day, but I'm not an accountant, you know, like I'm not a finance person, and there's a lot of, you know, jargon and stuff that you kind of have to just, for me, I always think, just don't freak out, don't question too much, just go through it. And if you get to the end and you're still like, I don't have a clue, then you freak out. But it all starts to fall into place if you can just be patient with yourself, you know, to trust that the information is there and it will make sense if you just keep going over it and reading it, you know. I remember like probably our first meeting with you where I was like, well, I've got 7,000 pots and I want to register all of them in my savings and assets. And you were like, well, and I was like, no, I'm going to. And I did for like 2 months, and then I was like, this is stupid, because they were changing all of the time and they really didn't hold any big value. But I needed to go through that process myself to understand the bigger picture, you know. So I would 100%. Say to people, just learn how you learn, but, you know, just take it bite-sized chunks, and just, if you need to watch a video 5 times, just watch the video 5 times, and don't feel like you're never going to get it, because you will eventually.
Exactly, and it's one of those things. Ultimately, it can, like, when you're going and tackling something like this, like trying to get your finances sorted for today, for the future, and so on and so forth. Especially when it comes to like retirement planning, it can feel like this huge mountain to have to climb. So you said there, obviously, like some of it can seem overwhelming, even when you're doing it with us. But you've got the benefit of having someone that you can say, Joe, or whatever of the other coaches that we've got here, like, I'm struggling on this bit. Can you answer this question? I don't understand this. I don't understand that. What's this mean? What does that mean? Where do I put this? And so on and so forth. So it lightens the load, I think.
Yeah.
And it's kind of why we do it in the way that we do, because trying to tackle it on your own, I know it took me years to figure all of this stuff out. And that was literally just to be able to get started. So I'm glad we were kind of able to help you get, through those bumps faster than you would have done otherwise, I think. So on that point, actually, is this something you feel like you could have done on your own, like you and Jasper together, or at all on your own? No.
No, absolutely not. And I think that was the reason why we went for the full course as well, because you can just get the budget and do it yourself, but I just know that I know us, and I know the way that we operate, and we definitely had to have that time with somebody to talk things through and to just get that ultimate clarity, because I'm sure, like I said to you so many times, sorry, can you just again can you just say once more? I don't quite get it, and I think that's the benefit of having somebody there, because the course is very explanative, is that the word? But having somebody there to actually say it in a different way, because you're not getting it in that one way, is the benefit for me personally.
Or to kind of just explain it based, like, to apply that logic to your circumstances. So you're like, oh, okay, like, I can see how that applies to us now, and now it makes sense. Because it's all good and well having like the theory and the principle, and our course is, I agree, it's really good, and we go into a lot of detail in it. It's like 14 hours, but of content, and we do that intentionally because we want people to be able to get it, but it can only get you so far before you're like, okay, well, now I have to link it to like my situation, and sometimes that's not always clear cut. So I'm glad it helped with that as well. So what would you, we kind of touched on this a bit, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. What would you say then to anyone who's on the fence, considering doing this, joining this program, but hasn't taken the leap?
I would say that if you feel like you can afford it, just do it. Just take the plunge, because like we said before, time just ticks away. And the more you're thinking about it, the more time is ticking, the less time you're actually using to sort things out, and the more stressed you're going to feel. That's what I found. It was just, I literally got to a point where I was like, I'm doing it.
I'm glad you did. And lastly,
me too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Lastly, and be honest, is there anything you would change? Anything you feel like we could do better to support you or other people through the process?
I think that knowing what I know now and the way that I approached it, I think one thing that could help is a little bit more maybe clarity on the structure and the regularity of those one-to-one calls with some target dates. I think I was just sort of like, oh, we do this and then, let us know. I think in some ways, because I'm so lastminute.com with everything, like if there had been a bit more pressure on the initial stages of, you got to do this by this date because you've got this one-to-one, and I would have been like, okay, doing it. Whereas I was just kind of like, and then it was suddenly like, oh God, 2 months has gone by and I need to, So maybe apply some applied pressure from your side might have.
I appreciate that. I'm glad you told me. It's one of them things that it's something we're aware of, and it's something, again, like I talked about earlier about balance. And I'm not saying this to make excuses. It's a challenge that we've got to try and overcome, because every single individual learns differently. Some people need that pressure. And some people, if we add pressure and they're already feeling a little bit overwhelmed with like the initial kind of bit of work they've got to do, we could push them off the edge and they go, I just don't want to do it anymore. So it's definitely kind of like learning from each person, but it's something we can kind of introduce at the beginning, like, and just ask them, like, how much pressure do you want us to apply? So yeah, no, I take that on board. Thank you very much. Again, Neve, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Again, I really, really appreciate it. It's kind of important, I think, for me to note, like, you've taken the time out of your day to do this after having already completed the program. You're here of your own accord because you've been, happy with what you've got out of the program. So it means a lot. Thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to continuing to see where you take it from here.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, no worries. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.